Hi, I'm Doug Massey. This is my third video on how to get the most out of IXL from the time that you have to use it. The first two videos dealt with the diagnostic arena and the diagnostic action plan. They work together to help a student plug up any holes they might have in their mathematics education up to this point. This video is about moving forward. IXL is not an instructional tool. There are no videos or digital textbooks. The assumption is that you have a teacher in school or at home who's doing that part and leading the back and forth discussion about new topics, because that's the best way to learn about new concepts. Even if you're an amazing self-learner, you'll want to at least use videos like Khan Academy or something similar to get explanations for new ideas. But hearing new concepts and talking about them are just the first steps. Learning is doing. IXL is where you practice. If you're using IXL in the classroom, then your teacher has the ability to star a skill. Let's see what that looks like. Right now, you can see this is a student who's finished their diagnostic arena, and they're a solid fifth grade student. And now they're finished with that diagnostic for now, and they're going to go see what their teacher has assigned to them. What you do is you go over to Learning on the green bar, and you click on that. And what will pop up is this screen. And there are a whole bunch of recommendations down here. Those are not your teacher recommendations. I do not recommend using those recommendations. I recommend that you use this right here. This star over on the right-hand side will show you the skills that have been suggested by your teacher. So if you click on that, you can see that your teacher has assigned 3 different skills. And if you take a quick peek, you can tell that their labels are F4, F3, and F2. Very often you'll find that teachers will star skills and they'll end up in the reverse order of difficulty, and you'll want to do them in the opposite order that you see here. So the skill you would want to start with here pretty clearly is F2. It'll get harder and harder as you go through those F skills. So all you have to do to get started is to click right here. Okay, first problem. Just like when you're using the diagnostic arena and the diagnostic action plan that we talked about in the first 2 videos, your goal is to get from a SMART score of 0 all the way up to 80. Once you get to 80, you're done. There is no need to go to 100. You'll get full credit for a completed skill at 80. So this problem, what's the prime factorization of 4? Well, I've studied up on prime factorization. I know how this works. 4 is not prime. 9 is not prime. Its prime factorization is 3 times 3. And you can see as you answer these questions, your SMART score is going up. What's the prime factorization of 10? 2 times 5. Okay, but let's say we ran out of time and we weren't able to finish. No problem. IXL remembers exactly where you were. So let's say the next time you sign back in, you always go to your diagnostic first. Do I still have all stars? Yes, I do. And now I want to finish that assignment from my teacher. So I come over here. I click on Learning. I click on these skills right here. And it shows the progress that I've made so far. I can tell that this is at a 28. If I had already gotten that up to an 80, then I would know not to try this one and to move on to the next. The next thing to do is I'd like to point out a couple of different ways that a teacher can make recommendations to you. This is the way that the IXL program does it. There are 2 other ways. Another way is that the teacher could just say, hey kids, let's go do math problems M5 through M9. And the way you would figure out where those are is you would click on first Learning and then Math right here. And you'll want to make sure that you're at the right grade level. We're 5th grade math. And then you scroll down and you find the section for M. You see how they're labeled with different letters? Here's the M section. The teacher wants you to work on 5 through 9. So that's these problems right here. So all you have to do, click on this one right here. And here we'd start filling out these problems. You've got your paper and pencil, right? You're always doing your work on paper and pencil, right? Always, always, always. 1/5 of 20, I can tell by looking at this diagram, must be 4. 2/5 must be the same as, well, 2 groups the size of 1/5. That makes sense. And so 2/5 of 20 must be 2 of those groups. That's got to be a total of 8. I understand. Submit, and I've got some more energy points right there. The third way that a teacher can point out a new skill to you is by just giving you a 3-letter code. The teacher might write skills up on the whiteboard for you or give it to you on a sheet of paper and say, hey, I want you to go through these skills 0 to 80 and check them off as you go. And you'd be like, okay, no problem, I'll do that. What's the first skill? The teacher says RB9. Right up here on the search bar at the top of the screen, you can just type in RB9. And what pops up pretty quickly is, hopefully, if we spelled it correctly, a matched ID skill. And you can tell matched ID skill, well, that's actually the one we're working on right now. You can click on it right there, and it's going to bring up the exact same skill right where we left off. So let's do one more. 1/3 of 18 is 6. 2/3 is the same as 2 groups of size 1/3. So 2/3 of 18, well, 2 times 6 is 12. I'm starting to get the hang of this. Submit, 9 more points. I'm on my way to 80. And now, if you were to go back and look at your math learning section, clicking on learning first, and then clicking on math, to find all of these skills listed out, scrolling down to that M section, you're going to be able to see right there, that 19, that's the progress you've made through M5. So if you came back later and you were trying to figure out, well, I'm working my way 5 through 9, you would know exactly where to start and where to leave off. Okay? I hope that makes sense. One more thing. When you're practicing skills like this, I've put together a flow chart that can help you get the most out of the time that you're spending on it. Here's what it looks like. Okay, so if you've finished your diagnostic arena and you're at all stars, you would start here at the top of this spreadsheet, and you would click on learning. Let's do that. And then click on the skills that are suggested and see which ones you have left to do. Now, if your teacher had assigned them by code or by saying do a certain section in your learning page, then you would do that instead. But the same concept applies. So for this one, we would look at these skills and say, oh, I still need to be working on this. And sure enough, it remembers all of your progress. And then if you had any skills under 80 like this one, that's what you do. You go work on your next teacher's suggestion. And you continue there until you've reached a SMART score of 80, just like we've always said. When you're finished with that, you would go back up, you would click on learning again, and you would come down and you'd repeat the process. Let's say that you finished all of the skills, you've got everything up to 80, then you come over here on the right side, and it means that either you didn't have any assignments to begin with, or you've finished them all. Terrific. This is a point where if you wanted an extra challenge, you could try to take some of those skills from 80 to 100. I will tell you that the problems get much more difficult. You get far less in terms of points for each correct answer, and they take more points away when you get them wrong. So you really need to be on your game. You need to be getting like 95 to 100% of the problems correct. But if you want to take that path, that's what you could do. You could go down here and you could practice till you get to 100, and then it's the same thing. You come back up here, come down to the same spot, and keep going on that loop instead. When you're finished practicing on skills, that's when you go back to the diagnostic chart, and that's the other chart that's included in the link that I've put into the description. One last thing I want to show you. When you're practicing skills like this, let's say you make a mistake. The prime factorization of 6 is 2 times 3, but I'm going to forget my multiplication here and get it wrong. Anytime you ever get a problem wrong, it's crazy important to be able to take advantage of this opportunity to learn something new. Okay, let's say you're struggling with this and you don't quite understand. You've got it wrong. Don't just click on this. Let's scroll down through and make sure we understand what the prime factorization means. This little blue section here usually gives you the key fact behind this exercise. And then they work through the exact problem the way that they do here. They divide 6 by 2 to get 3. They divide 3 by 3 to get 1. That showed that 2 and 3 were the factors that you need to divide 6 by to get back to 1. And then you click on got it, and you move on to the next problem.